How many times did Will hate crime other countries by making accents?
Oh,
numerous.
oh,
Numerous.
this book with its
you have no
heavy
idea.
Irish accents. Are you kidding? It was a slaughter. Hello, and welcome back to the Unresolved.
No! Hate crime! The Irish have been persecuted enough.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Unresolved Textual Tension. My name is Elin. I'm here with my hate criming co-host William.
She's
and the
referring to that
lovely,
because of more
vivacious
accents, which
Maria.
are wonderful.
That was not your time to speak, William.
That is the last accent I will do here. Don't worry, guys.
Thank God. Hi guys, it's me. As Elin said, it's me, Maria. Nice to see you. Welcome, everyone. Merry days.
Today, the book we're doing today is The Children of Fighting Gods and Men.
No, of gods and fighting.
The Children of Gods and Fighting Men.
Not important.
By
Shauna Lawless.
Shauna Lawless.
And this book is about Ireland in the heydays of ye old times, when Christianity and paganism were kind of first beginning to come, Christianity's beginning to come in and kind of take over the pagan religion.
It's Ireland in the 990s.
Ye old times.
About 20 years after the Norse conquest.
Yes. And this book was picked by our book club. Join our book club. It's part of the Patreon. You get to be part of live streams like this. We'll highlight people's comments when they say smart things. That's on you to say smart things. It's not on us to pick them. Now, the thing about this book is that when it was when it won the poll, I was like, oh, this will be good. This sounds interesting. And Maria sounds like she would like this book. Because one of the big things in the selling point is that there's one of the main characters is called Gormla. And she is like a woman who's been forced into marriage, but is now kind of a canny political actor. And she's kind of having to use being married, or she's not married during this arc, but she's going to have to be married to somebody else. And, Maria loves that kind of canny woman who works within the constraints of her society.
I do.
Maria.
I do indeed.
Did you end up liking Gormla?
No. Gormla is, so I thought I was gonna at the start, because I as usual, I did no research into this. I literally opened the book and started reading it. And by reading I mean listening and then reading on my ebook. Because that's how I do. And I was like, ooh, we love someone who has been put in shitty situations but uses the systems to her benefit. And my problem is the bitch, like, I want someone who's like, yes, let me make an advantageous marriage to help and she's like, no, I'll never get married again. Like, what a powerful tool in your arsenal, bitch. Like, why are we constantly besmirching marriage? A way to gain power and fix problems. And she's like, no, I won't do it. Fuck that. And yeah, she just, like, I also felt like she just didn't feel as smart as I would have wanted her to be.
Yes.
And, like, she loved her son too much. Like, at a certain point, you gotta know your son's dumb.
We're gonna compare her a lot to Cersei's arc in A Feast for Crows by George R. R. Martin, because there are similarities, but there are also some differences, because I feel like he does it better in those books. So yeah, don't take a shot, because you guys will come to it very quickly. Do you want to give us the rest of the plot?
Okay, so Ireland, after the Norse conquest, we start with Gormla, who is married to Amlaf the Red, who is son to one of the great North invaders. And he's a great war chief. And in the prologue of this story, we meet Amlaf on his deathbed. And Gormla is relieved, she is happy, she is finally gonna be free. And the first power move she makes is to not climb up onto his funeral pyre, as would be befitting of a good Norse wife. Because Gormla is, as the name implies, Irish by birth. And she was given to Amlaf the Red as a political move, and she has always resented this deeply. Next point of view, and our other main character is Orla. She is one of the descendants of the Tuatha Dé Danann, and this is all rooted in ancient Irish Celtic mysticism and lore. So they are the descendants. They are capable of magic. They're one of the hidden folks and one of the old folks of Ireland. And they have, at this point in the story, they have withdrawn from human society and sort of live in the shadows. And it's implied that they're kind of waiting for something. They're waiting for their time to do something. And Vola meets her sister in the woods because the sister has called her name on the wind. And that is one of their powers. And she knows that if my sister used the magic to call me, something bad has happened. So she runs into the woods, she meets her sister, and the sister is like, they killed everyone. They burned everyone.
Can you talk a little more into your when you're being quiet?
I'm sorry.
Just because they won't hear.
They killed everyone. They burned everyone. So this is a few years after the funeral pyre of Amleth the Red. And what has happened is that Citric, the son of Amleth and Gormla, has come and raided one of the monasteries. And in this monastery, Paula's sister was placed as a spy, and she had fallen in love with a man. She is now pregnant, which is against their laws.
Huge no. Huge
no. And these laws are part of the withdrawal of the Tuatha from society. So they are not allowed to mingle with humans anymore. They have sort of written off mortals as violent beasts. And Citric raids this monastery, kills all the nuns, does a heckin' big raid, just kills and pillages and just murders poor nuns, like defenseless nuns. And
real shitty move.
Yeah, real bitchy move, dude. And Fola's sister is like the only person to get away, and she only gets away because she is one of the folk and they have like magical powers, so she could like save herself. So she gets away and she is pregnant, and everyone except Citric is kind of traumatized by this event. Like one of Amleth's other sons is like deeply traumatized by this raid of the monastery, this just mindless butchery. Yeah. But anyway, Fola and her sister goes back to the old council, who says that you have broken our laws, and now something bad must happen to you.
Yeah. So, as Ellen was saying, there's an aspect to this book that is going to be Irish politics and Viking politics in that time period, and there is an aspect of this book which is going to be the secret masquerade war between the Fomorians, who were some kind of magical beings, and the descendants of the Tuatha Dé Danann, who are a different kind of magical being, who they're at war with each other, and the descendants think that all the Fomorians are dead, but Gormla is like one of the two last Fomorians. And you're going to ask yourself multiple times throughout this book, why is this in here? What is the point? And you will not get an answer by the end. This book is really weird. It's like the author wanted to write about this time period and wrote excuse me, and wrote it very well about this time period, but then just had to layer on this like magic secret war that I just didn't feel ever gelled with the themes of the book or even the plot. Like Gormla kind of makes some moves, but none of them are really distinctive to her being a Fomorian, and Forla just does nothing throughout the book. She's just a security cam.
I was saying to William yesterday, because we got caught in a rainstorm and we talked about the book, and I was saying that maybe to someone who is more intimately familiar with Celtic history, these two, the Tuatha Dé Danann and the Fomorian, maybe that adds a nuance to things. If you already know of this mythology, if you're already intimately familiar with this backstory, maybe you can see nuances in this that I, who just knows of it tangentially, can't see. But I don't know.
And what I will say is that it felt like it was added for like unnecessary tension. Like there's more than enough tension and things happening within the book, and like it was really like you have a character being like, oh, I have these powers, I could solve this problem, and then being like, but I can't do it because I have to stay hidden. And then you have another character like, oh, somebody's dying, I could solve this problem, but I can't do it, I must stay hidden. And you're just like, why? Just why? Just cut it out. Because like, and the one time Gormla actually uses her powers, I was like, No, I hate this because it's dumb. Again, my problem with Gormla is I was like, why are you being dumb, bitch? Like, that was the dumbest time to use your power. And we'll explain this when we go over the plot. But like when Gormla
It was
finally
the dumbest time, and it had absolutely no repercussions whatsoever.
and no benefit. It's not like it's not like it. You're completely correct, Elin. It's not like it had negative repercussions or like it did something positive. Like it did fuck all. I'm like, now was the time you decided. Like, what? I hate it. I hate it so much.
It's such an odd decision on the part of the author, and I don't know, like, if this was some kind of like like a publishing deal thing or something. Okay, hold on. Chris, as always, coming in clutch, says the author note at the end said that she couldn't imagine divesting history from the mythology, so she couldn't let herself cut any part out. I'm not against the idea, but the execution kind of sucked. What is that? Not you, Chris, but like
I'm gonna maintain that our girl could have written a hecking good historical fiction, very much in the vein of Wolf Hall.
Yeah.
And it would have been very entertaining.
This book, I think, would be much better if all of the Fomorian stuff was cut. Like, I straight up think this is actually otherwise a pretty okay book.
I wouldn't go so far as William.
Well, this is a very mid book, to be fair.
But I do think that the historical elements are clearly the standout and like what shines in this book.
I would completely agree. I have a couple of other issues, and unfortunately, one of the problems by having the supernatural element, especially for the Tuatha is that like they've now separated themselves from humanity, and they're like, humans are evil. And so a huge arc of this book is a main character going, but maybe an entire group of people aren't actually evil. And like she was like, oh my god, if he was a good guy, why does he have a sword? I was like, your cousin literally walks around with a sword, bitch. You guys just did what you think was a successful genocide. What do you mean, bro?
Yeah, she's 300 years old. She hasn't learned this.
Yeah, we talked about this too. It is so strange that Fola is, of our two point of view characters, is the oldest.
One?
Like, she is several hundred years old, and she sounds like a blue-eyed teenager who has never met the world. Like, even if she hasn't been in that much contact with humans, she just doesn't feel old. Whereas Gormla, who is young by her race's standards and not that old by human standards, she feels kind of ancient. She feels so over all of this shit.
She felt so old that when she was like looking at Olaf at one point, I was like, ma'am, that's a baby. you at the beginning of the book, by the end, like 8 years had gone by, so I was like, I'm more okay with this. But like when he was like 19, I was like, ma'am, that's a babe. Like, or at this, no, there was that 19-year-old, the guy from Sicily, and I was like, ma'am, stop.
I mean, yeah, no.
This is
don't prepare.
Chris says that Fola is 105, so Gormflam's mom is 28, and Gormflaith is about 40. So, and the thing is, there were at times points where it seemed like it was going to become a theme, because Gormla talks about how, like, you can't, in the Fomorian way, you can't really grow attached to your children because they're not going to become Fomorians. That's the other weird thing, is that they can have children that aren't. And so, like, she can't get too attached. Her mom kept going through history reading.
The issue is that when they have children with humans, like, their Fomorian gene is sort of recessive. So most of the time, if they're just half-breeds, the children will be mortals. And even when because the Tuatha
that's the Tuatha.
Yeah. How does it work with Fomorians then? Do they have to be 2 as well?
So no, you can, because her father was mortal, and her and what's her brother's name?
Mordmain? Mordmagan? Mad Max?
Malmorda.
So her and Malmorda both had human fathers. Like, neither of their fathers were
it seems to be sometimes.
Exactly. It's a sometimes thing. So like you just and that's why, and that's the other thing is I think her mom was right. She should have left fucking again, my problem with Gormla is this bitch doesn't know how to leave places and to like when to fuck off.
Yeah.
I'm like, the fact that the Tuatha did not realize her ass was there. And I was like, by a wing and a prayer, ma'am. It's so annoying.
Actually, Banamas brings up a good. Honestly, how does anything work with Fomorians? Barely
Yeah,
anything is addressed with
we
them,
don't
and I
learn
feel
anything
like that
about them.
is no, and that is one of the intrinsical flaws with the book as it is, because we only have two Fomorians left alive, and for most of the book they're separated, and even when they come together, they never reflect on their culture. They never talk about it. We never actually learn anything of the Fomorians.
No,
Yeah,
we
and the thing is, going back to what I was saying, Gormflam, like it's not like this is
Gormla.
Gormla, is this is not like a heightening of like the feminist themes of the book of women being transactional or never. You know, she's not like I'm a 300-year-old being. Why can't I be queen? It's so frustrating that I keep having to go through men. Like that would heighten the feminist themes that the author wants to
Mm-hmm.
put in there. She's not 300, but if she was, but like that's not in there.
Instead,
honest.
she's just sitting and pettily thinking about how men are dumb beasts ruled by their cocks, and she's so pissed off by it. And then she goes around and behaving really dumbly too.
And then she's out thought by like a 25-year-old. At the end of the
Yeah.
book, she's like, that guy knew it all. And I'm like,
I mean,
what are
he
we
struck a
doing?
heavy blow for the Vikings.
Yeah, like what are we doing, bros? Like and
Yeah.
part of it, and a couple of people have made the point, you make Gormla the old one, like make her
Mhm.
105, and
Yeah.
you make our girl Fola 20,
Mm-hmm.
25. Maybe
Yeah, it would
even
vibe
she's
so much
40.
better with her arc.
Yeah. She's 40. She's never seen the rest of. You make Ronat her older sister, who is significantly older than her. Like maybe Ronat is 100 something, like 98. So she got to see some of the world prior to all the shit getting like them getting separated and being like, no, you don't know
Mm-hmm.
it, and her being like, no, Thomas told me I am. But like having her as a and also having there's literally a point at the beginning where she was like, I had a mortal friend once, but then other mortals killed him. So even though he was nice, all mortals are awful. And I'm like, the logic ain't logicking,
Yeah,
ma'am.
no. What?
I don't believe
It's
this.
No, and it's kind of sold to us as a, oh, but she has Thomas has gaslit her, and she has kind of built her apprehension, her perception of the world,
personality, yeah.
perception of the world entirely on what Thomas thinks, and she has kind of surrendered her individuality and become like more of a side unit to Thomas. But that is more something that the book tells us rather than shows us.
Well, and also, it feels a lot more like she is discovering the world and finding out that he's wrong than she is overturning his beliefs about the world. Like,
Yeah.
that's what's kind of weird about it, is it does feel like a very YA arc.
And it's crazy because like she notes at the beginning of the book that she has been out of love with this guy for ages and that she doesn't like interacting with him because she knows he does this. So like we have this character who comes in and what Elin said is completely correct. We're told that, you know, he's great at manipulating her and all that stuff, but the whole time she's like, I don't know if you're right, bro. Like this is
Mm.
and she comes in being like, you know, he still loves me, but I don't feel that same way about him. And I'm just like, okay.
Bear in mind, this woman had. Wow, I have more
God.
power than I know. This woman has raised a child and seen her die of old age. That is how mature this character should be, and she don't act like it at all.
She
She doesn't,
doesn't feel
and
like
also
it.
she lived a life with a child, with a child who grew to be an adult. Never does she really think about her child besides to be like, oh, and then she died. This is
Yeah.
the problem people have where it's like an informed grief thing. Chris makes a good point, and even after spending 2 years wandering with her nephew through human settlements and seeing different people, she still acts like she was born yesterday. So that's a problem with
Yeah.
this book, is that it takes place over 7 years, and it don't feel like it. It feels like there are real big time skips between moments that just don't like this. If you told me this whole thing happened in 7 months, I'd be like, yeah, nothing needs to be
Yeah.
changed about the book. This makes total sense.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it takes place over like 8 years, and so that's one of the. So a couple of problems we've identified: the mythic side of the book, but the time skips were something I was going to focus on because Will's completely correct. Where not only do you have that tension break that happens every time you switch first person point of views, because that's something, if you're going to do that where you're going to have two different point of view characters and you're going to switch back and forth, you have to be so careful of how you leave off one chapter and go into the next, because sometimes there were certain chapters where I was like, ooh, the plot she thickens, and then suddenly I'm back with Fola and I'm like, God, and then the plot thickens with Fola, and I'm like, ooh, the plot thickens. And then you have to switch, and so that's already something that you have to fight against, and it's just a fundamental part of first person narration when the two characters are not in the same space. If you have first person narration with two separate characters and they're in the same scenes and stuff like that, then you can kind of continue the tension while getting different points of view. But when you have them doing completely different things every time you switch, we're breaking tension, we're losing momentum. That's one. And then on top of that, you add 2-year time skips in the middle of something happens, and now we go to someone else's point of view for a bit, and then we come back and 4 years have gone by, and you're like, like that whole part at the beginning when her and her stepdaughter were in Northumbria for 4 years in the beginning of the book, and I was
That
like,
was crazy.
that was fucking crazy. What do you mean?
What happened?
Exactly. And so it saps a lot of tension, and these two things really do fight against getting into the book and kind of feeling, because the whole time I was waiting for the point where the plot would just continue concurrently and there wouldn't be the time skips. And unfortunately, like in the last third, we kind of get there. But up until that last third, there are still time skips where like suddenly 9 months have passed or 4 months have passed, and we're again, it takes the tension out of it. You have the moralistic simplicity of the Tuatha and how they view humans, which feels, because like they have spent that like hundreds of years with humans. Okay, I don't know how to describe to you. Like the reason they've separated themselves is because they used to love humans so much that they would fight against each other in human wars. We're like, this group of the Tuatha were like, oh, we really like these guys. And then this group of the Tuatha were like, we really like these other guys. And then they would fight each other. And they were like, you know what, guys, we can't do that anymore. Which, valid.
Okay,
But
all right, but why have these superhumanly long people with magical powers not just decided to be kings? Like, I don't understand how these have not become a military aristocracy.
that's
And
the
it's never stated in the book.
And
But
and the thing is,
Look-
you're right, Will. We're told that the Fomorians want power. They have their power. They have their magical fire powers, and they will always want to be on top. But not the Tuatha. They're like, we just want peace, bro. But Will's correct. There's no reason these guys can't be shadow puppeting things in the background, and that's what I think is going to happen. I think that in the later books, it's going to be revealed that Tomas has actually been puppeteering shit in the background.
Mm.
And it'll be a
Did
whole
Chris
like,
just get home?
no, he's going to garden.
Okay, I heard.
Sorry.
That or a very loud hum. Yeah, I mean that might be the reveal, but part of it is that this book ends with a better setup for a story than this book. And so this is one of those fantasy books where it's like, well, why don't you just start on book 2 and you'll be more interested.
Yep. And our two main characters never interact until the very end of the book, and there's no tension. Like, I was waiting the whole time because we're told that the Tuatha, the descendants of the Tuatha, they're not actually the Tuatha, they can sense Fomorians. And so I was waiting for our girl to be like, oh my god.
Yeah.
We thought we killed the last.
It's like, that bitch don't like me.
Yeah. And there's like
real
no
oblivious.
And you're like, I guess maybe they have to actively use their powers, but also I don't know how everyone isn't like, wow, she's 40? Bitch looks great. Bitch looks like she's 22.
Because that's the other thing about the Fomorians, they don't age, so after like 30 years they have to go pretend to be somebody else. But I was like, start putting some gray in your hair. Start scowling a lot.
And
start getting some wrinkles. And I was like, Maria is gonna be so pissed this bitch ain't doing her job.
And this is why I was so angry, because the entire time I was like, if you decide you're gonna stay, because like again, her mom at the beginning of the book is like, listen, ma'am, Miss Ma'am, your mortal son Citric, abandon his ass. Fuck off. Like maybe spend another 10 years here. Get him situated. Fuck off. Go find someone else. Just keep moving, making babies. See if you grab any other little Fomorian bros and just keep it up. But if you're not going to do that, if you're going to push the limits of how long you can stay in this place, you need to be out here being crafty. You need to be using shit to like darken under your eyes so it looks like you have bags under your eyes. Start making your hair gray. Like, there is ways women could
sculpt their appearance.
Yeah. But instead,
Walk
she's
with a
super
hunch.
vain.
She's so vain. And let me tell you, never a bitch that was like like she was always like, "Ooh, you want me. I don't want you." Or she was like, "Ooh, I do want you." Like, and I was like, at the beginning of the book, I was like, "Is there anyone you don't want to sleep with, Gormla?" Like, outside for the old men,
And
which,
I think
very.
I think she shares a lot of the themes again with Cersei in A Feast for Crows, but Martin does a much sharper. Even though Cersei is like a strong a Martin does a much is much more incisively in his themes feminist than this book is. Even though Cersei is a worse person than Gormla, and we'll talk about it more as we go. But for now, let's go ahead and get started on the plot. Because the plot starts with, as we said, Gormla is seeing
17.
Gormla, 17, who was married at 15.
13. She was
13.
married at 13 to a
Not a
70-year-old
thing.
man. Or
Not
no,
a thing
I
that
lied.
happens, guys.
She's 23. She's 23 now.
I
Not a
mean, I
thing.
think it actually did happen because I think that part of it is historical.
I mean,
maybe, but it's probably also one of these things where there are no records to show exactly how young the bride was, just that she was very young and had just started her bleeding. But back in the day, that could have happened later in life than we're used to today. So
right. So and she's like, haha, die in a fire, you bitch, to her husband, who she didn't like.
And also, she's arranged against his wishes for him to have a Christian burial, because again, she doesn't want to have to burn on the pyre like a Viking burial would do. So she's like, Christian burial for you, because Christianity is just beginning to take hold. It's the saucy new religion that people are testing and also using for trade benefits, because that gives you some goods to be able to trade in other places. And Gormla, as a Fomorian, she doesn't follow the Viking religion. She doesn't follow anything. And as she's sitting there watching her dead husband, like, thank God, I hated that guy, her mother pops in and she's like, fuck you, mom. I hate you. You manipulative, cunning bitch. And her mom's like, I'm dying, Gormla. It's my time. I am officially old AF, because the Fomorians, they don't age, but then in their like last year of life, they get old real quick, like just old. And she's like, "Oh, mom, you're dying, crazy." And her mom's like, "Yeah, you need to fuck off. Also, you need to get your son Citric set up so that he can help your brother Malmorda. Your other brother, my only other living son, was killed by the Tuatha. But I saw them with mine eyes because I was hiding. And also, I poisoned my son, your brother, because that boy was a drunk and he couldn't keep his fucking lips shut. So I poisoned him. They came, they found him, and I saw them, and it was a blonde guy with green eyes whose name was Thomas, and then there was like this like dark-haired, dark-skinned monk guy named Colum. And so now I know what two of the descendants look like. So Malmorda, we're gonna set him up. He's gonna try to become king of Leinster. And you have to get your mortal son to help him. And she's like, no, I love my son Citric. I will never use him to further your plans or the plans of my dumb brother. I love him and I will make him good things for him and of himself. And her mom's like, listen, if you're smart, you'll fuck off. Like, just get ye gone, marry some other bastard. Her mom has lived a fuck ton of life. So she's been like queen, she's been slave. She's gone through a lot of shit, but she used her Fomorian beauty and wiles to score herself husbands, to put herself in positions of power. Gormla, she doesn't appreciate this. She got married to a 70-year-old at 13. She's bitter. Her mom fucks off, and she's like, it is what it is, I guess. We meet Fola. Fola's like vibing one night. She hears something on the wind. It's her sister's voice. Her sister is at a nunnery that, as Elin said, getting burnt down. She runs, finds the nunnery, burned down, a bunch of dead nuns, but there's one room that's... Are you stretching or putting your hand up?
No, I'm stretching.
She's
Sorry.
stretching.
Oh, okay. I was like, sorry, I'm used to Katie sometimes puts her hands up to say something.
They don't do that in Sweden.
Yeah. And there's one room that has been kind of protected by magic, and in there her sister is kind of like dying, like she's injured, but she's dying. And our girl Fola is a healer, and she uses her healer magic to save her sister. And her sister's like, yo, it was the Dubliners. That's where Gormla is and where her son is. And she was like, and it was Citric. son of Amlaf the Red. And like he came and he sacked this nunnery for some reason. And she's like, Ronit, you don't know shit about the humans and politics. Like, you're actually really bad at this. How do you know? And she's like, my boyfriend told me. And our girl Fola is like, what do you mean, your boyfriend? And then Fola's like, yeah. And what you discover is that our girl Ronit, while she was at this nunnery, pretending to be a nun, was getting it down with Gormla's stepson's, no, Gormla's, I think it was Amlaf's bastard. I don't know. It's
He's gonna
someone's
die
bastard.
real
Yeah,
soon, so it's not
It
important.
was Amlaf's brother's grandson.
Yes, and
Practically Hispanic.
exactly. And she's been getting it on with this guy, and her is heckin' preggers, which is against the law of the Tuatha De Danann, because they have separated themselves from human society. The only way they interact is they will invade monasteries and nunneries to spy, just so they have an idea of what's going on, but they do not intercede except to heal women and children after battles. And our girl is like, ma'am, you know you're not supposed to be cavorting with humans. And she's like, why? We were friends with humans for ages. We had kids with humans. She was like, we are literally the descendants of the Tuatha De Danann because the Tuatha De Danann had sex with humans. Like, what do you mean I can't have sex with a human? And she's like, you know it's against the law. And she was like, Ronan's like, you know what? Whatever. The wind told me my baby had to have a human father, so I did what I did. So she has to go back. They have to go back to like the big, like, secret monastery island place where the Tuatha De Danann descendants hide. And when they're there, she's like, yo, Tomas. So Tomas is the leader of the descendants. He's the blonde guy who tried to kill what's-her-face's brother. And Tomas is
Can
like,
we hold on for a second? Because
yes.
people who are watching are not going to understand what's happening. Ellen found on the ground the foot of one of my Warhammer miniatures, and she's very confused by it.
I step on something and then I bend down.
And then it's a foot.
And it's just a random leg.
Yes.
I'm like, how did this end up here?
It's technically
this
not
foot end up-
Warhammer. It's another miniature company, but yes, that is what's happening for those who are wondering.
That's
Please,
hysterical.
Maria, continue.
Thank you. And Tomas is like, yo, where'd you go? Like, you disappeared for some time. And she's like, I had to go rescue Ronit. The nunnery was burning. And Tomas is like, yo, is she okay? And she's like, yes, but also she's pregnant. And I need you to intercede with the council to make sure she has the least terrible. Because while the council 60 years ago decided, so please note, our girl Fola was like 40 when the council was like, we're gonna separate from the humans. Okay, it was within her lifetime. She lived in a society where they mingled with humans for at least 40 years. Okay. And 40 years ago, when the council was like, we have to separate ourselves from the human, we shall not cavort, we shall not support, we shall not intercede. They were like, and if anyone does, there shall be punishments. But they never actually decided what the punishments were. So we have to go through this whole trial where the different people have to be like, Ronit, you did it wrong. And she's like, I think you're wrong, bitch. I'll take my punishment. And basically, there's this whole thing where they're like, oh my God, she has to give up her powers or die. She's like, I'm not going to give up her powers. And then somebody else is like, well, what about just banishment? And there's like a fake vote. And then she just gets banished. And they're like, and your son, you get to have him until he's weaned. And then we're going to place him with a human family away from you. Which also, can I just say, real bitch ass? Because we learn that our girl Fola and Tomas, they used to be lovers. Not just used to be lovers, they were co-parents together. They had un bebito, who, despite the fact that they were both descendants, ended up being mortal. Her name was Aoife. And Aoife wanted to go live with the humans and like have babies and live life, flirt, because no one in the Tuatha De Danann, they were all like, nobody's fucking with a mortal.
It's
It ain't
so
happening.
weird.
Yeah.
The integration between the two species do not feel like a realistic thing. It feels real, like there's no culture developed into how they interact with people.
It really is, because again, you have someone whose parents are both descendants with magical powers. She is mortal by some fluke of genetics, and everybody's like, well, she just has to live here forever and no one will ever sleep with her or have babies with her or marry her because she a filthy mortal, but we also won't let her go live with the actual mortals.
Yeah,
She just has
it's real, and it's real odd too, because it's like you tell you no one wanted to have sex with her. She developed
yeah,
no emotional relationships with men here
yeah,
or with
no
women.
one, no one.
I think the justification in the book's internal logic is that they could not let her leave because they are keeping their where they live a secret, and it's a magical secret, and it's like their last fortification, and the one thing the Fomorians don't know about them, so they have to keep it secret, and that's why they could never allow her to leave.
That's what I thought at first.
Yeah,
That's where I was at first. Because you're completely correct, Elin. But then we find out that they have a magic potion that'll make a kid think his mother is dead and
Oh
Oh, no.
forget.
yeah.
You're telling me?
That is an excellent point. So they just did it to be mean.
Yeah, so they
Yeah.
were just dicks. So specifically, her
Mhm.
father, because Fola was like, please let her go live with the mortals. And Ronit
Yeah.
was such a bro. Ronit, her aunt, Fola's sister, was like, I'm going to take my niece and we're going to hightail it out of here. She tried to escape with her niece. And then Thomas fucking found them and dragged her back. So she lived a sad, lonely life
and
inside.
so Thomas is basically a Nazi, and he's like, this daughter of mine, she's a filthy ratkin, and I have absolutely no emotions for her.
You know, and the other thing is that I think there could have been an interesting theme, because what's going to happen is that Fowla is going to be responsible for Brocken, the child of her sister, to place him in a good family, right? And I think there could have been an interesting kind of interplay with she could realize by the end of the book that by keeping her daughter on the island, she really ruined her life in that she wanted her to be a descent. If like it had been more of a choice on her part to keep her there as part of the descendants, and she realizes, no, for my son, for this faux son of mine, it would ruin his life to stay on the island. I want him to go out among humans, even if they are dangerous. He will live.
That would have been, because you're completely correct, making her having her want Aoife to have gone out with the humans really doesn't give us the arc that would really play better into her, because again, her character arc is discovering humans aren't all evil, and having her be in the beginning like, oh yeah, no, my daughter's not going out there, and have Ronit completely disregard both like Tomas and Fola. Number one, delicious tension, nom nom. Number two, you're right, Will, having her get to the point where she goes, oh, this is what's best for Brocken, and him, you know, like living a full life. That's an arc I can get behind, and also a
Yeah.
more, and that's why making her less than 105 years old, like make her 40 now. She's lived her entire life within the confines, or not even 40, because like unfortunately she has to be old for her to have this daughter. And I'm like, but how do you explain her being like, oh, the humans are so evil?
I mean, we just lose that part because it's so stupid.
She doesn't feel like a mum who has seen her daughter grow, age, and die, so we could just cut that anyway.
Yes.
And it would be so refreshing to have Fola want anything before the end of the book, because only by the end of the book she's like, I want, and I'm like,
so true.
Really?
I mean, I think there's something interesting in the idea of a. So the problem is that the way Fola views the humans feels very 101 racism. It doesn't feel like I am an eternal being who has seen war sweep over the humans again and again. They live in this barbarism, and there's no, you know, that kind of like ennui that would take place if you saw history like that.
I've seen how men can start out good, and then the darker nature takes over, and they end up in this cycle of violence that just reenacts itself. No, she feels like, is this one inherently evil? And they are all inherently evil, right?
She feels real femcel about it too. She's like, men specifically are the bad ones, and it just feels ignorant more than it does jaded.
And it really does, because you're right, it doesn't feel like humanity at its core cannot help the lust for power that happens within different groups of people. And it really does feel like men are just inherently, like, this book, I was like, why is Fola making me sympathize with men? like why is this book, I want to be like you're so what is it? You're such a misandrist that it's honestly making
it's real femcel.
It's I'm so continuing there. She because I No, actually, finish your point, Will. I realized that we got off plot.
No, I was just saying that it might have been interesting if the Descendants had been kind of coded more as having a modern view, and so because you as the reader kind of get this feeling as you go through the book of like, how do you navigate morality in a pre-industrial setting, where
Yeah.
like these kinds of things, where Christianity as a moral, like the idea of a moral philosophy at all is kind of alien to these people and is only creeping in with Christianity, which we can talk more about the religious themes in the book. But like that would be really interesting. But she's not coded that way. She is theoretically from that society. Like that's the other problem that Ellen talked about is that the Descendants don't have a culture of their own. They're
No.
just kind of like people hanging out.
They're like Irish 2.0 or Irish adjacent.
Yeah.
Like they're and it's even so much so that like there's this point where like they're still like the Tuatha Dé Danann and the Fomorians are like actually more Irish pagan than the because like
Mm-hmm.
currently you have like the Viking religion and then you have Christianity and like Viking paganism is or not Viking Irish paganism has kind of fell to the background and you really don't get like at no point is someone like, oh wow, we got to put the milk out for the fae, like the stuff that was
Mm-hmm.
actually happening. And it would have been really interesting if the Tuatha Dé Danann had that connection. Number one, now you make the world feel more alien and thus make the connection to the mythology more real. And no more, like that could be a whole other thing that is being lost or faded. And maybe that's something that the Tuatha Dé Danann mourn, that as the humans no longer believe in the Fae, they are becoming lost and they're losing them and they're too small of a circle to. And so like watching these creatures that have existed and just fade into exist, like that's interesting. You could do something with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish culture was even a bigger part of this story and all.
Yeah.
Bananamus
Viking culture
says,
is way more big.
real quick, Bananamus says, it was made clear she had oiefte.
If it was made clear.
Oh, if it was made clear that she had uefe when she was really young, to this asshole Thomas, you could 100% get into the immature, lost childhood attitude of her character. Yeah, I mean that's the thing is she doesn't feel jaded and she doesn't feel like a gaslit wife. She feels like just a young kid who's like, I have never. My prejudices have never been actually tested by the world.
Yeah, she feels like a 22-year-old protagonist,
Mm-hmm.
legitimately, and which is insane because she's so much older than Gormla, and Gormla feels like an old ass bitch who's seen shit. And I just don't understand how you write these two characters this way. It's just a really weird way to handle it. So yeah, Ronut has to get banished. Fola goes and lives with her sister on this island where she's going to be banished, where she can wean her son up until the age of 4. And then she has to take Brochen away. And Thomas is like, hey, so I know Ronut wants you to take care of the Bebito. And I will, if you promise to spy as a healer on this guy named King Brian Baru. He's a bad guy. He's like think of human men. Now think of even worse than that, and that's Brian Baru. And I want you to infiltrate his inner circle, spy on shit, because we just need to keep an eye on things and make sure like he's not fucking around. And she's like, I'm a healer. Why would I do that? Like, what are you talking about? And they were like, don't worry, we'll make you ugly. We'll make you real ugly so that none of those terrible, terrible human men will try to grip you or do anything. They'll be so put off, you'll be completely safe. Don't worry. So,
and you won't have sex with them and get attached. So it's all good.
Yeah. And we need you not to be like Ronut.
Yeah, guys, nobody has sex with ugly people ever.
So they made like half of her face and her head like burnt. She's got lanky, thick white hair growing out of that side, and her one arm is deformed, and it looks like she like got half burnt. And like she's Two-Face from DC. That
is exactly what she is. Yeah.
And she's like, ugh, that's terrible. And they were like, don't worry, well, this will only happen after Brochen is older. So while she's raising Brochen, we also have our girl Gormla, who's like, we go to her, and her son Citric is the one that raided that nunnery that killed Ronan, and it was Gormla who told him to do it. She was like, you need to start amassing, number one, you need to start leading, learning how to lead. You need to start making men loyal to you, and you need to start building some wealth against your brother, your half brother, Glorian, Gormian, Gor. I don't remember his name, but it's Gor something.
No idea.
What?
Glonan?
Glonin? It might be.
Glottal stop? Glottal? Does not matter. Anyway, it's, yeah, she's like, you gotta be doing this.
Lorniarn. And
one thing we learn about Gormla here is that Gormla's a real bitch. She thinks she's real smart. She thinks that other people are all idiots. She thinks women are dumb and men are worse, but also doesn't respect women at all. She's like kind of one of those self-hating kind of, but even not self-hating.
She just hates
everyone but her son, and even then she doesn't love her son. She just kind of views him as an extension.
She doesn't. She sees her son as an extension of herself. At one point, we actually get a really nice quote from Citric, where he says, "You don't love me. You love that I love you."
Mm-hmm. And so the thing about Gormla, and we're gonna run into this, is as Maria said, she's not quite as smart as she thinks, but the book doesn't call her out on it till like half to a third of the way to the ending.
And she does not get enough negative consequences of the sheer stupidity that she is acting. Like, her character could be so entertaining to follow if she actually got herself into trouble by being this obstinate bitch.
For the first half, I wasn't even sure if the author realized that she was like a dumb person, because she just keeps not getting a comeuppance. And the one time she got a comeuppance midway through, I was like, oh, I like her more as a character now. Like, making a character flawless does not make them likable.
No, and I kept expecting for kind of a stone to drop and a kind of a nuanced moment where we get more understanding of her, so we can be more sympathetic for her. But she's just very unsympathetic as a character. Like, she keeps doing some awful shit and thinking awful things about everyone.
When that girl came in who had her hair shorn off, I was like, this was a moment.
I thought it was it.
Yeah, I thought this was a moment. But yeah, so our girl Gormla, she's in a bit of a sticky situation. Not only has Citric like gone and got to this nunnery, Gormla decides tonight's the night that because this one guy saw that Citric did this, and if Gloniarn finds out that Citric did this, he's gonna know his brother is working against him, which he has suspected the whole time. And so Gormla is like, Gloniarn, how you doing, bro? And you find out that she's like slept with Gloniarn before, her like stepson, and I'm like, bro. And apparently, like, he asked her to marry him once, and she was like, I'm never getting married again, but I will just sleep with men for no. Like, ma'am, if you're willing to do it, I don't understand why we hate marriage so much. Fuck. But anyway, and she's like, oh, Gloniarn, you did, and I forget what the conversation is, but basically she like seduces him, and as they're like beginning to get hot and heavy, she just stabs him several times, and then she gets the guy who was Ronut's boyfriend, who also saw Citric do this thing that was going to tell Gloniarn, and she makes it look like the two of them killed each other. She basically goes, these two men are problems for me and my son. She kills them, makes it look like they murdered each other. She made sure Citric was outside so nobody would assume it was him, and she's like, there, done, dusted. Now Citric can be king of Dublin. And then, let me tell you, they have so many kings. There's kings of, like, the cities, there's the regional kings, and then there's, like, the big king. Too many kings, if you ask me.
During this time, Dublin was kind of like a city-state.
Yes.
And the island was broken up into many smaller regions.
This is also worth pointing out, is that we have on our hands an expert Crusader Kings player who knows all of this and who has fought Semyon herself in Crusader Kings.
Semyon? There's no
Semyon. The High King? You were saying that?
Seniel.
Yeah.
Seniel.
No, I never do. I never do. Because... Anyway... But basically, there used to be a High King of Ireland, and that was a long time ago. The kingdom has fractured into warring smaller states, which all of them kind of have a king, and a lot of them wants to be High King and unite the country into one. But no one so far has gained the influence. It's very medieval in that sense.
It is. And so... like I said, Gormla kills King of Dublin. Now Citric can become King of Dublin. Yay! But oh no, Seniel, that king we were just talking about, that Elend does not fight in that game that we were talking about.
She said it
Senior.
usually she takes her several generations to build up enough power, and by then he's
Yeah,
dead.
I usually start as Murkut. Or is it Donkut? Anyway, I fight Brian Burrow, but I never make it to Senial because he dies before.
Yeah, it happens. And Senial is like, you killed my brother. I know he was murdered, so I want a really, like, I need a tithe from everyone. I need like an ounce of gold from every family in Dublin as I think it's I forgot what it's called, but it's basically this term, this Eric. And it's basically like if somebody gets murdered, you pay their wife and their family an amount of money forever. And everybody's like, "Ooh, that's a lot of money. We can't do that." And she's like, "Okay, okay." Gormal puts her thinking hat on and she's like, "Citric, you can't become king. You can't do it. You're going to support someone else, your other brother or whoever, I don't remember, doesn't matter. You're going to support him. You guys, Senial's going to come. You're not going to be able to defeat him, so you're going to have to do the Iraq, and then everybody's just going to be pissed. So if you're king when this happens, everybody will hate you and it won't go well. So you're just going to stay back. You're going to support whoever. You're going to fight bravely. And that way, when people remember this, they'll be like, wow, Citric was great. And then I'm going to fuck off. I am going to go find an army for you so you can stand against Senial in the future. Okay? We got this.
Really quickly though, there's a scene that I wanted to talk about where they're at the funeral pyre of his brother, and there's a big discussion about whether his brother should get a Viking burial or a Christian burial. And the thing is, this is sort of an interfaith coalition right now, and it's great because they're kind of doing it as though it was like a business transaction, insofar as they're like, well, if he goes to Valhalla, he didn't die in battle, so that's not good for him. But if he goes to the Christian God, he gets into heaven as long as he whatever. And it's so realistic to how ancient people thought about their religion, in that they believed it, but they weren't
believe
like
all of it. And they think that whoever they give their worship to is the one that is going to enact, manifest as reality. And it was a really good moment for Citric too, to show that he has some
thought. He's got a little normal
he's
in him.
cunning. Yeah, and the overall, and there are a couple points in the book too where they talk about like, oh, the Viking king would burn the city to the ground, but this is a Christian king, so he won't do that. And like, I'm no fan of Christianity, obviously, but like there is a very interesting dimension that the book doesn't really explore beyond that, of like, what does it mean for one of these religions to take over from the other? What are the differences? Not necessarily which one is better, but the book kind of like, it knows that this is happening and realistically portrays it, but it doesn't really say anything through it. And especially with the Fomorians and the descendants being like literal demigods, it's weird they don't have opinions on the religion. It's like the book didn't really want to comment on it, and I think it's a missed tool in the toolbox.
And it really is, because as Chris M said, I'm going to highlight this, the moments based on historical facts are the better parts of this book. And that scene is excellent because it is for the time, like a nuanced discussion, but you're right. It is this like business transaction of, okay, which deity do we give him to so that he gets the best future? Like there's a practicality to it that's excellent. And you're right. Having the Fomorians and the descendants being these demigods that don't interact, like they have no opinions really. Like the Tuatha use Christianity as far as using the bases to do their spying, but they are not Christian. And like Gormla is,
the Fomorians aren't even like, well, if this Jesus guy was real, he sounds like a descendant of the Tuatha, so maybe we need to keep them out or something like that.
The Fomorians feel so entirely non-religious. Like they feel like they come from nothing, sort of.
They also feel so cultureless, like there's no story.
Yeah, they come from nothing, and it doesn't feel like the book is trying, because you could do this in a way that because of how they live, like precariously, they need to change lives all the times, they have to hide, like that could have contributed to their sense of lack of culture, and that could be like, there could be an internal conflict for the characters, but it just isn't. It just isn't. It's like it just doesn't exist.
Yeah, and I think it would have been a really good contrast with the descendants who, if they did have a culture of their own, you could get the sense that this is the last vestige of the Fomorians who are fighting for a cause they don't even really understand.
And it would tie into their nature, because the Tuatha Danann, they talk to like the earth spirits and the wind, and they're like very naturalistic, whereas the Fomorians, their element is fire, so they they burn out quickly. They burn things down. They're destructive. It could like comment
It
on a
really
thematic level.
It really could, and also you could have like a difference of interactions where maybe Gormla has separated herself, but Malmorda he knows the stories because there's this thing that happens when you are like isolated from your main culture where
Mm-hmm.
you become almost like more religious
Yes.
and
Yeah.
obsessed with certain things than the people who are like there could be something to be where a comparison you could get where what would have been cool if it had done this is maybe the Fomorians are like super religious or super like they've got their stories, but the Tuatha who have like lived as a community
Mm-hmm.
have separated themselves not only from humans but also from their ancestral past a bit more, because that can happen where you if I mean a lot of immigrants move somewhere new
So
and
yeah.
like that they hold on to the stuff that and in the end sometimes can be more conservative, and then their home
Well, what
country
happens
has
is
kind of
they enter almost a time capsule of that time
exactly
in their culture when they left. And so when, you know, you being Greek American or whatever, you know, like they're stuck in a certain place, but you go back and like they might be more liberal, not specifically with Greeks, but like, you know, or the
yeah
culture, the culture doesn't feel of the original homeland doesn't feel a need to hold on to this culture that defines them as much as the immigrant group does. And it's entered stasis when it's in the new place, and in the old place, they're like, yeah, no, we like, you know, we're
yeah
fine now with
exactly
this or
we're
that.
Yeah,
we're
it should mean so
obviously
much more
the,
for them.
yeah
Mhm.
we're obviously still the thing, we're literally
Yeah, so we don't
here
need to
Mhm.
keep to it.
Could we
exactly. And
highlight Jen's comment?
Yes. I think it's telling for the author's world building skills that the best parts are based off of the literal history rather than original ideas she presents. And Bananima had said before this, it's based on a good reading of how people in history have acted. We don't know how these fantasy races regard the world, so the author has no inclination to explore them with as much depth, sadly. And I think that's true. Again, the author just seemed really interested in the historical parts, and those are the best parts of the book.
And the author is really good at bringing these historical characters to life and
Yeah.
ascribing them features and personalities vaguely based off of their actions in life, and that is a real strength of hers. Like those bits are very good. I like them a lot. And it's just a shame that the book does not pull into it. It's because the book is really kind of a love poem to Celtic history, and that it feels like that is why she wanted to interpret them as if what if all these things were real, and
real
it just doesn't entirely like carry all the way through, at least
Yeah.
not in this first book.
it really doesn't, and it muddies the story in a way that's not productive. It
Yeah, and it's
unfortunately
more like we're just following these two opposite mystical characters who are just placed here to witness history enacting itself, kind of.
Yeah. It just doesn't gel.
and and again, there's nothing. Who are the Fomorians? Like I have a bit of an understanding about the Tuatha because more time is given like where Fola thinks about her
I
past
think the
and the history.
Fomorians are in D&D.
Like
They're usually like giant people, I think.
I don't understand. Like, just give me
Yeah,
anything.
give me
Lawless,
something.
give me something. But yeah, so our girl Gormla is like, I'm gonna go to the Vikings and I'm gonna get us a an army, and she does a whole big ruse, and she gets her stepdaughter married to this guy named Olaf. Olaf he's not like a big Viking lord, but he has an army and he wants to take over in Northumbria, and her daughter-in-law was married to a guy from Northumbria, so she knows all the ins and outs, and she's like, "Here, political marriage." And he's like, "Okay." And like Olaf is one of the only people that is like, "You're a scheming ass bitch, Gormla." Uh and yeah. You're playing. Yes, that's exactly the vibes of Olaf. And so she basically she like sets us all in place. She waits 4 years for Olaf to finally decide to, because he has to go and he actually has to like become the king of Norway. Like he it's she just waits for 4 years in Northumbria away from her fucking family. Anyway, Olaf comes, he takes I think her name is Geitha and as his wife, and then they were like, we're sailing to uh Dublin. And then when they get there, Citric is now king because they knew like he overthrew the guy that was set up as king. They like now they're ready, but they know Seniel is going to be coming. But luckily they have Olaf, and so Olaf is just going to stay there with his like 1,000 men and just be like, hey, what's up, Seniel? And Seniel will be like, oh shit, there's a whole army of 1,000 Vikings. I ain't gonna fight this, because like for some reason the walls in Dublin are broken down, and in the 4 years of the story happening, nobody fixed them for 4 years. Nobody fixed the walls. Anyway, and so Seniel does come with his army, and Gormla goes out. Gormla's like, "Let me go, Citric. I'll talk to him." Where he was the brother of one of my stepsons. I guess that's it. I don't know. Anyway, and she goes out and she's like, "Hey, Seniel," and Seniel's like, "You want to marry me?" And she was like, "Nope, I still don't. Don't like you." Um, but we have this, yeah, we have this whole ass army here with Olaf, and he was like, "Fuck," and he was like, "Okay." And she was like, "And we're not doing the Eric anymore. We're not giving you your money, and you can't do shit about it." And he was like, "Okay." And he just leaves. And now Citric is king. Huzzah. The scheming has worked. But, shit can't be good forever, because they're supposed to build. Olaf says he will stay with them for 2 winters while they rebuild the walls, so that they don't need Olaf there to keep Seniel off. But Olaf, like 4 months early, is like, Gaitha's finally pregnant. I'm leaving.
Part of the point too is that Citric wasted time by focusing on trade that he could have spent, enforcing the rebuilding of the walls. And Olaf's like, I mean, I broke my word, but my son needs to be born in Norway.
Yes.
And Citric, he had the time and he just didn't use it. So sorry, bye.
I was with Olaf on this. Literally,
Yeah.
What
were you doing?
over a year, and your ass, because like it's not like he left a year early. He left 4 months early. You're telling me 4 months is all you needed to finish the walls, my guy?
And Olaf has an entire ass country he needs to conquer and christen.
He's been here so fucking long, my guy. And again, his wife's pregnant. Baby needs to be born in Norway so that he can take over from his papa.
And this is when Gormla is like pissed about it, and she goes to Gaitha, and is like, "You dumb bitch." And the thing is, Gaitha like kind of really liked her because she felt like she was a mom. She's a surrogate mom. And this whole time, Gormla thought she's dumb, but in her head,
she's like, "Gaitha, you dumb bitch! You need to convince Olaf to stay." And Gaitha's like, "There's nothing I can say to make him stay. You do understand that?" And she's like, "You're a stupid bitch, and I never liked you. You're not my blood. I don't care about you."
She literally goes, Why are you so hateful?" And she was like, "You'll be hateful too when you have children." And then Gaitha says something mean, and she goes, "See, you're doing it already." And I'm like, bitch, calm down.
So let's talk about Gormla a bit, and let's talk about Cersei from A Feast for Crows. In A Feast for Crows, you look like you just got bored by what I said, but she's stretching, guys, so don't take that as a physical
I have a headache, and it's in my neck, so I'm gonna be doing this.
In A Feast for Crows, we have Cersei, and this is not exactly a fair comparison because Martin has had 4 books to build up, or 3 books to build up to this point, but anyway, Cersei finally gets into a position of power as the Queen Regent. And Cersei is somebody who has internalized a huge amount of patriarchy and misogyny. And she hates that she is a woman and that means she does not have power. And that has shaped her entire being to the extent that, like, she and her brother, she only loves her brother as an extension of herself, as the male part of her. And we see in her trying to be a leader that she's kind of dumb and stupid, and she kind of fucks around and destroys a very stable situation through her own need to be in power and her distrust of other people. And we really see how also we get a real sense for the abuse she suffered at the hands of a character who we kind of thought was okay, but there is a real sense that, like, no, he R-worded her pretty regularly and beat her. And also there's a part where, like, she actually like tortures a man, and she also assaults a woman, though it's in the text it's a little bit more ambiguous. And the thing about it is that this, I feel like, because it's a stronger narrative than Gormla, it's very clear Cersei she's also a perpetrator, but she was created by this patriarchal system, and this is just how hateful it can be, and the pressures that it puts on you can create this behavior. Gormlett does not feel like that because really she is not. Oh, and part of it is that Cersei is reaching the point where she was very beautiful and now she's not. And what she's learning is in that society, as you get older, you become you lose power because you're the old woman now. You're not as strong. You're not as pretty.
She resents that the only
Yes.
power a woman has is beauty, and even that can be taken away.
And so, but Gormlett does not have that problem. She's eternally youthful and young and hot. So, like that right there does not make a ton of sense. Not until later in the book.
It especially doesn't make sense, as in because that is the one thing she refuses to use. She's really vain about it, but she also really resents the idea of using it for anything.
Yeah, and so that doesn't really make sense. She's very sexist to other women, but I would have liked it more if she was just like, you know, I look like a woman, but really I'm a Fomorian. That's different. I'm above all of you, or something like that. And that could show the ways that patriarchy makes you draw a distinction. You want to push yourself away from the lower class. There's also only later in the book when her son starts to like be like, Mom, I can't, you know, like I don't like that you're trying to rule be you know, I'm a man and I'm somewhat getting resentful of the fact that you are overbearing. Like only then will she start to realize that the patriarchal system doesn't quite work well. Will she be betrayed by it? But I just didn't feel like it was ever a very clear arc. And again, I think there's something to the idea of if she were her mother, this is a sense that she is disposable. She constantly has to go through this ritual of bearing children and being transient and not ever really being able to rule, even though she is white, she, you know, has more experience than all these other people. She is of this land more than they are, even. And so, like, I feel like there are themes there that the book kind of gestures at, but it's more like Gormla's just a terrible person. And the other thing is, we haven't said it, but it's just not pleasant being with Gormla. She's not a fun, part of the fun of the Feast for Crows is you can see Cersei, like, fucking herself over constantly. And you know this is all by the end of the book gonna come back to hit her. And in this case, Gormla, that isn't there. It's a real miserable point of view to be in for a majority of the book.
It really is, and there are moments where, like, the plot around her kind of picks up, and you're like, "Ooh, how is this gonna?" But
she's
she is
in an interesting place.
Yeah, she is. She really is. But she herself is quite miserable of a point of view. Like, and again, I don't understand. We passed this, but when she goes originally to the Vikings, like 4 or 5 years ago, she like sleeps with this like Sicilian slave, and I was like, I thought she was doing it for a purpose. Like she was like, "Oh, that guy looks like good genes, and I shall have one bibito." Like, but then like I was like, What are we doing?" Like she just because it's
She
not
just
like
wanted to get her rocks off.
Yeah, and because it's not like she regularly sleeps with people
Yeah.
for pleasure. Like we never hear about her being a creature that enjoys like or fantasizes or needs that. Like it's just this weird scene in the beginning, and I'm like, and also the guy's 19, and I was like, and is a slave, and she's pretending to be a, and I just
I feel like that would have been
pretending to be a slave.
See, I feel like that would have actually been more interesting if she hadn't been pretending to be a slave and would liked the fact that there was a power differentiation in age and whatever, and that would tell you, oh yeah, she is abusing because she was abused. She is putting herself in that
and there
position.
is no built-in commenting about, oh, I am become that which I detest so much.
She literally, I was waiting for the point where she realized, oh shit, he's looking at me the way I looked at my mother. You know? I have become mama.
Yeah, or I am now in the position of sexually manipulating and I like it.
Yeah, something like that.
Anything. Anything. Any sense of self-awareness and embracing that. And also, like, just have fun, bitch. Like, if you're gonna do bad, have fun. Do a heckin' bad. Have fun. And she really is a miserable point of view character to be in. I would have much preferred if she was like gleefully terrible and loved her son. And again, she really,
or she got comeuppance much earlier. Like that's the other thing is like when Olaf starts fucking with her, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and there's a nuance of something that could have been interesting in how she hates and detests men, but she is a boy mom to her son, and she watches him behave just like these men she detests. Like he rapes, he pillages, he has a whore that he loves, kind of, but doesn't. He thinks he loves, and it could be fun to hear her kind of spiral and rationalize that, and how a boy mom thinks, in how their precious boy acts just like all the disgusting men, but isn't totally because he's so special. And the author is kind of trying to do it, but it just doesn't come through all the way.
I feel like part of the problem is that this is going to be a trilogy or a series or whatever, and so like the author kind of can't get to these points, even if they're going to come up, which we don't know that they are for sure. Like again, the betrayal by her son should have just happened way earlier in the book. That would have been much more interesting.
And also, I cannot believe you were blindsided by that. You are a political being in a political situation, and you raised a political son. Yeah. You thought he wasn't going to marry you off to a king? You thought, ma'am.
When he had his back against, he had his back against the wall. He had no real options.
Yeah.
What was he gonna do? And like the fact that she didn't earlier, like the fact that she let her son marry the whore she didn't want him to marry instead of just marrying Seniel was just. I was like, really? It's that bad? Like
it could have been fun if before this, like in the arc, we see him siding with his mum and it leading to bad consequences, but she takes it as confirmation that, you know, he's always going to be loyal to me, and it enforces her stupid misbelief that, you know, he is hers more than he is political, and we can kind of see him learn through this bad experience and then making the right choice.
I mean,
honestly,
I think there's something to the idea that if you develop more why she felt like she had this special connection with her son, then the book becomes more plausible and it becomes more gut-wrenching when he does make this decision.
Yeah, because it's more like a fantasy she believes now, as it is. It's more like a fantasy that she believes that he would not betray her because he is of her body, kind of. It's almost a magical belief.
Yeah, and it's not risen from anything that would make you... Yeah. And it's not really understood even why she feels this strongly, irrationally.
No, because she distrusts everyone and everything so much. It feels a little off.
And you're right, because it's not like he acts like he feels the way she thinks he feels about her, you know? It's not like he's like, Mom, my favorite person, you know? Like, he's not a mommy's boy, you know? Like, and so it would be one thing if he was, and then we watch through her eyes as he becomes against mama, and...
Or even something where, like, he has begun to worship her because she was abusive, and she realizes by the end that actually... his adoration is sort of a thing he did to survive her. And so that would be like some good comeuppance and some good like exploration of, this was a coping mechanism he did to survive you. It is not genuinely how he feels about you.
All of this, excellent. It's not there. I realize we haven't talked about Brian Boru or any of that stuff.
Forla, so here. Forla has gone out into the world with Brocken, the child, and he's very cute or whatever. And she stumbles on a farmer, and she's like, "Ooh, man, those are dangerous." But there's a woman crying inside.
He looks angry. He looks angry, and his wife is dying as she gives birth, and she's like, "Oh God, should I talk to him? He looks like he'd kill me." Like, you can't read Rory. Your facial expression reading is so. Yeah, and he has a.
It's so stupid.
God.
And so she goes into there, and she has been told that she can use her healing magic one time to get into the good graces of the king, if it's near the king or by him. And this woman who's going to die in childbirth, she's like, well, you know what? This doesn't help me out, but I can't let her die, so she heals her. Bear in mind for a moment here that, again, she should theoretically think that humans are a sub-species, an under-race, so to speak. And this is how, again, it's weirdly concentrated on only men she feels this about, because she's immediately like, well, you know, women, I gotta save this cockroach species woman.
Yeah, and she views, like, any of her interactions with women or children, she's like, she treats them exactly like she would the descendants. It's not like, when I tell you Will is so correct that the cockroach species vibes is saved only for men.
Yeah.
Only for pee-pee havers, like that, like that's it. Because like,
like anything female, she's like, oh, Aoife.
Yeah, sisters, like we're bonded by the terror of men.
The womb, the bond of the womb.
Yeah. I mean, which actually would be interesting if she had interacted with Gormla and realized, oh no, women can also be completely terrible people. But that's not in this book.
Or if there was any female character, because like it would be really interesting for her to realize, men aren't all evil, but also realize, sometimes women can be evil, and like people be people.
She's
And,
gonna
like,
learn that when she starts talking to Gormler.
wait, she really was, but the thing is, it won't even hit, because then she's gonna be like, "You're a Fomorian, no wonder you were evil."
Oh yeah,
and the
that's
species
true.
essentialism
That's
is
true.
just,
It's so kind of boring that the
Yeah.
only evil woman is also the Fomorian.
and
It's kind of.
all she needs is to meet one female character who's willing to manipulate for a better position for her to be like, because the entire time she's like, "How is this man manipulating me?" Have you
It's so
met
funny.
Have you met Thomas? I met that guy.
It feels like a thing where the book is the author had the idea that by showing how inconsequential women are to the history at this time, she would show patriarchy. But instead, it almost slips into that territory where the author just writes off women as inconsequential.
I mean, that's actually a really fascinating point. If she starts from a view of history isn't really decided by women, they're passive participants in it, they're passive viewers of it, and then she comes to realize, like, no, women are active and doing stuff, and sometimes that's not great, but they are active. Like, that's a different kind of patriarchy to unlearn. And it's not in the novel. So she's like, she saves the kid, and then Lunan, the guy, the farmer, the farmer is like, "Oh my God, you're awesome! Here, come stay with us." And she's like, "He doesn't want to murder me after I saved his son."
But
I'm
also,
so
she's like,
that expression he had, he was sad.
He was
And that
worried that his wife was gonna die.
He actually likes his woman.
It's not just, and his sisters like him, and his mom likes him. What? And then she's like, and then he has a sword inside.
If these women like him, he must be good.
Not
but he has a sword.
Yeah, and he has a sword.
Funny.
Oh, anyone who has a sword is a fucking asshole. Why would he have a sword in the house, ma'am?
It's okay. It's so, and it
Should
really
he have
is
a
that.
baseball bat? Like,
oh man,
a
it's
taser? Like, what do you want?
That's so funny. It's really annoying, and it really does feel that YA.
Yeah.
And telly YA at that. But then a really handsome man rides up to have dinner with the farmers, and she's like, "Ooh, he's got swords as well, and he likes fighting."
And he has 2 swords.
This bit I actually like, because we know he's handsome because of how the girls react to him, not how Fola herself really reacts to him.
Yes, right. Which is like, okay,
which is kind of fun.
It is, and it gives you.
And he's
like,
all. No, you go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say it gives you like an like she's uninterested, like she's not looking at people from an aesthetic point of view. Also, remember she's a burnt up, like, half grown at this point. But it is one of those ways where the author is showing and not telling, which is in the moments where she does that, it's really good. But what were you gonna say, Will?
No, I was just gonna go on to the next part.
Oh yeah. So this guy comes, and she's like, he's like, "Oh yes, we're gonna build a bridge over here." And Lonan and him are friends, obviously. And then, like, she's talking to the guy, and she's like, "You're not building that bridge for trade. You're building it to ferry." Because she realizes that he's someone higher up, like in like the human hierarchy of whatever clan he is. He's higher up. So she's like, "Yeah, so men can die in ditches," and he's like, "Yo, I just met you." But like he engages with her, and he's like, no, like, da, da, da. And she's like, she just out the gate goes into this guy, and immediately you're like,
men only build bridges for war.
Yeah, and you just don't care as long as you get what you want, and other people have to die in dishes, and you would build a bridge here by your supposed friends? What do you think is gonna happen to them? And
she really offloads on him, and he's like,
yeah, and she's like, "You are the problem with society."
And he's like, "Man, I kind of like her."
Yeah, and immediately the vibes. And then later she's like talking to the grandma who just got a granddaughter, and then she's like, "Oh, we love Murka, he's so nice." And she's like, "Wait, like Brian
the prince,
that guy?" She's like, "Yeah, that's who it was." And she's like, "Oh no!" And like,
oh shit.
Like, ma'am, you have one job. Why are you out here just start? Because like the thing is, even if you don't know who someone is, don't be starting shit. It could be like
Yet
the
again, giving teenager, not 100-year-old.
not a
Mhm.
100-year-old. Like you haven't learned to hold your fucking tongue, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and then like he ends up like they end up like interacting again. Well, she leaves Lonan and she takes Brocken, and because they're like
What feels like a
Merca,
week later, but is
yeah,
actually like a year. They meet
yeah.
again when he's building the bridge.
Yeah, and she's like, he was like, you didn't stay with Lonan. He said you should stay with him, and she was like, no, I went off and blah blah blah. I'm heading into. You said Munster's so nice, so I'm going there, and I'm gonna see what's different. And he's like, your nephew looks like shit. You sure you didn't want to? And so she spends like
Maybe we
another
should try
year.
feeding him.
Yeah, you should try feeding him not blackberries from bushes.
Roots.
And so she ends up getting to like this town that she's trying to get to, and again another year is it takes her 2 years to do this. Literally 2 years of this character is just walking to get to the place she needs to go with a what was a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old and is now a 7-year-old. It's insane. You couldn't get a cart or anything. Anyway, so she gets to the
Yeah,
city.
that's a crazy amount of time considering. Because how would Merkut and Lonan know each other if they were that far apart? It
Yes,
just doesn't
exactly.
entirely make sense.
It makes no sense. Like what distance are we talking that it took 2 years? Okay.
Yeah, it like took 2 years to sail from Rome to India.
What are we doing, guys?
It's real crazy.
And so she gets there, and Merca's like, "Oh, hello, healer lady. I have a bee bite. Please heal me." And she's like, "Oh, hello, Merca." He was wearing a mask. Don't worry about it. And he befriends Brocken, and then his son and Brocken become best friends. And basically, because Merca kind of like showed everyone she's a good healer, a ton of people come, and this is where she learns that Brian Boru is not actually the terrible guy that she thought he was. He's not like the worst of the worst. All the slaves in his territory he frees and they can have normal lives, and she meets one of those former slaves who has stayed in Ireland despite the fact that she could go home when she got freed because she fell in love with an Irish guy who was actually part of Brian Boru's like party of people. And she's like, wow, that guy married like an ex-slave. Like, what a weird place. These shitty people, like, are men not terrible? Like,
Could it be?
Annoying.
Could it
It's
be?
so annoying.
When I tell you it's so heavy-handed, like the book just says it all the time.
All the time.
All
Yeah.
the time. Anyway, and then Merca's like, hey, I want you to come meet my family. And so she goes, and the scene we open
This
up.
whole book also, she's constantly like, Merca keeps being weirdly friendly. I wonder what that's about.
Yeah.
It can't be here for any real reason. And it's like, what, this is, Banana said this, and I agree, is that like, as romances go, theirs is actually not as bad as the romantic ones we're used to.
No. This is kind of cute.
Yeah,
the tiny little thing that annoys me a little bit is that we're doing that. Oh, innocent blue-eyed girl doesn't know what's going on. Can't read social cues. What is this fluttering in my chest?
On it, because like that's the problem. Because I am okay with these two as a pairing.
Mhm.
They're cute.
I like Marka. I think he's a perfectly fine guy, and I would like if there was just like a hint of her becoming as friendly with him as he is, because like unfortunately she like holds herself back. Like at one point they've spent like 4 years together at some like or a year, and she's just like, wow,
yeah, and
guys,
she's still like, why would you do this really
mercurial
easy thing for you that is kind to me? Like, why would you give me a blanket?
Yeah. And so
and he's like, it's because I like you stupid stump. And she's like, is that possible?
Is that even like, but I'm so ugly. Like, yo, people can't like other people. You fucking wild.
Yet another point where the book is trying to talk about patriarchy and just accidentally kind of saying like, but I'm ugly, so I should just expect everyone to be mean to me ever, and no one can ever like me, or what?
Yeah,
it's so weird.
It is. It's wild. And again, if she genuinely, because like there's a point towards the end where she's like, you know, maybe he's not that bad. And I'm like, could this not have happened halfway through the book? Because like
Yeah.
I'm so here for this kind of friends to lovers kind of thing, where
Yeah,
like
and he
they
has
become
never been anything but good,
good.
supportive, respectful.
Mhm.
Like, he relies on her. He gives her a place in his home, and she's
Banana says, "You're saying I can take off my glasses and I'm hot? My glasses and I'm hot." It is very that vibe.
yeah, it's very, very. What's that? What's that film where he takes
Oh,
the ugly girl in the
She's all
school?
that. No, yeah,
so
Yeah,
yeah.
so
no,
dumb.
maybe it's again the author, and it's weird because the author has a very good hand with characterization outside of the people, outside of being in her head. Like
Yeah.
again, all the historical figures we deal with feel distinctive and like people and of that era as
Mhm.
well. Like Merca is a little bit the weakest because he's just supposed to be good guy, like here, like romantic lead. I felt like his brothers and Brian Baru were like a little bit better as characters in that respect. What's happening with you guys?
I don't entirely agree. I think the author does a good job of showing how Murcutt is politically savvy, and he knows how to show the right front and give the right impression to people, but then in his brain behind the scenes he kind of has this own thing where he does what he wants and he has his own narrative.
Um,
So I don't feel like he is good as best boy.
I think the author thinks he is.
I think
Yeah,
we'll have to
tiebreaker.
see how book 2 goes. It's one of those things where I think book 2 will let us know, like, is he good as best boy, or is he, a good guy but
Mhm.
who is smart and knows how to function and like and knows how to be cunning when needed, because this is the world he lives in. Like, you have to have the edge. You're
Uh,
you're either playing the Game of Thrones or you're losing.
no, they
Whatever
even
the
at
quote
one
is.
point they do a rice hand of like, oh, we had to be bad so that people wouldn't come at us. You see, being cruel a little bit keeps everyone safe. Night Lord
Yep.
style from Warhammer 40K.
I mean, I feel like that could be because these characters are historical and they did certain things in life, and I feel like this is the author trying to surmise their intentions,
Mhm.
judging from their actions. So it might be a little bit of a naivistic
Point
explanation.
of view. Yeah.
You're
Mm-hmm.
right. Well, but fact remains that there must have been some grain of that. Like, how could these men who were like great warlords then establish peace?
The thing is, it is both. It is both that these men wanted legitimacy and power and respect and wealth, but they also, most of them probably cared about their people to in some abstract sense, and then also specifically about keeping their supporters happy, which meant, and in a society like this, it's not as necessarily like the lords on top and the peasants all the way at the bottom. You kind of need to keep your society pretty happy. You need to keep the big men happy, and they need to keep their men happy so that they work like that. And so the book at times, I
Vito
feel like
Corleone knew this.
this is true. That's back when his actor could act and it just was a meme
No,
of
no, no.
himself all
That's
the
that's
time.
that's Michael. That's Michael Corleone.
Oh, you're
Vito's
right.
papa. Vito is king.
But like that's the thing is like I wish the book would kind of go into that a little bit more, and that the two are kind of inextricable, in that a state acts in its best interest, but that doesn't mean everything it does is bad or
Bad.
selfish per
Yeah.
se. The two kind of can exist together.
Yeah, and maybe it'll be a thing where in the next books they'll talk more about it, and maybe he'll explain
Yeah.
in
No, I agree.
greater depth that shows the nuances more. The explanation we were given in this book is slightly naivistic. I agree.
Yeah, and I agree that there is enough nuance in this book that I agree she could kind of build on that in the next book.
She could. So honestly, the next book will let us know whether he is
Well, we aren't reading it, but
good as best
we're not.
boy?
not
We're not.
reading.
If he's good as best boy or if he is a nuanced historical character, we don't know. But yeah, Brian Baru is getting ready to send his daughter, I think it's Bevan, to be a foster hostage because
Bevan.
he is doing he wants a peace treaty with Senial High King Seniel, where basically he's so powerful now that Seniel is forced to kind of engage with him and listen to him. And he wants half of Ireland. They're going to sign a peace treaty. Seniel gets the one half, he'll get the other half. And his Bevan will go and be the foster for like a year or two. But his eldest daughter, Mirka's other sister, is like, no, how could you do this? And basically the idea is she's young enough that nobody's gonna, like, her innocence should protect her should things go south, versus where if it was a son or an older daughter, not great. Because they still don't fully trust Seniel, because you shouldn't, he's a bastard. And she begins to like interact with like the family, and her nephew becomes part of like Morka's like son's friend group, and basically she begins to live a life there. Now we have to pop back over to
Gormla. And basically Seniel has come and he's like, all right, Dublin, you guys suck, I'm gonna conquer. And they meet with him, and he's like, okay, actually, you're right, you guys could make me a lot of money, and I don't like this Brian guy. Why don't you guys provoke him, and I'll pretend to be his friend, and then I'll show up late to a battle so you can kill them all. And
then I will let you be king, and I won't take all of your gold.
If you pay taxes.
I'll let you be king of Dublin, and Melmorda can keep Leinster.
Mm-hmm. And you're like, okay, and if you're smart like Ellen, you'll know that how this plays into the other plot line, and if you're not as smart as Ellen, more like me, you'll be like, okay, what does this have to do with the other plot line, until the two actually collide on screen, and then you're like, oh, wow, okay, that's what was happening. Because you can keep track of names if you're Ellen, and you can't if you're me.
I'm telling you, reading the ebook at the same time helps so much.
So much, yeah.
I read the ebook. Names.
Yeah, I read the ebook and listened as
well. I really only remember names by the end of a book, unfortunately. Well, even in an ebook, but anyway, not the point. My memory is bad. Anyway, Samuel goes up and shows up with Brian, and the two are like, we're best buds now. We're gonna feast. Okay, cool. And then as they're doing this, Citrix and his uncle, I forget his name already, Mad Max.
Malmorda.
Have captured one of the kings of Semiel and like taken out his eyes so that he can't become king. And Semiel and Brian get this news while they're partying together, and they're like, okay, we got to go to war against this guy. We're real buds now.
And Seniel's like, oh, I need to do this. And Brian's like, no, my bud. Technically, Leinster is mine in the agreement we just made, so I'll do it. And Seniel's like, best bud, I'll meet you there. You go first. You bring your men. I'll bring like 1,200 more. And we'll do it together, babes.
Together style.
Yeah. And at this point, you're like, okay, Seniel has set up everyone, because they also, Gormla on her end, they get a note where after they've captured that king that Malmorda needed taken care of so he could become king of Leinster. They get a note where Seniel's like, he, don't stay in your walls. Come out into the valley that I told them to go into and attack them there. They'll be very surprised.
Yeah, and they're going to be vulnerable. They're not going to have the ground. You can take them easily.
You can take them, and they're like, oh, like immediately you're like, Seniel's double crossing them. He's hoping they fuck with each other, and then he can sweep in and deal with it.
Yeah.
And while this is happening, Fola gets visited by Colum, who is the her cousin, one of the descendants, and is like, hey, everybody wants you to come back. You shouldn't be here. This is no good, hacking bad. And she's like, no, you forced me to be here. I need to do this so that you let me live with Brocken, because otherwise, if I leave now, I'll never get to live with Brocken. And we're beginning to see some tension. And he also was like, nobody thought you'd be successful. And she's like, Thomas did. He wouldn't have sent me. And he was like, no, bitch, Thomas extra didn't think you'd be successful. We were so surprised, shocked, one would say. And she's like, maybe Thomas is an asshole?
Did he send me on a wild goose chase just to get rid of me?
And
really like that.
So I would fail and come crawling back to him?
And then Brocken would have to be left alone with the humans, and I would have no recourse, because I thought he was giving me a good faith effort to do something, but he would have lied the whole time. Fuck Thomas. And Colum ends up leaving, and she's also being like stalked by Thomas's like raven, who can send him messages and stuff. And she's like, "Oh shit!" And she has to go like with them to the battleground because she's the healer. So like as they march off to battle, because she was like, I was so excited to go back to Killaloe and see Brocken because it's been 2 months, and nope, they have to go now to the fucking Dublin to do this fight. And she's like, oh shit, hopefully this doesn't go out the way, because Mirka's like, let's not fight, let's try to like talk to Citric and stuff like that. And she's like, yes, Mirka, maybe again. She's like, is Mirka actually...
show that you're a man of peace.
Yeah.
Not like all of these other brutes.
Is Mirka actually a good guy? Who knows?
Yeah, and she's like, it's time to prove if all those things you said during all those years were just talk, or if you actually meant it, Mirka.
Yeah.
Prove it to me now.
Prove it to me now.
And he's like, yes, milady.
And because he's like, you're right. Like, so, and it's so, she's like, about what? Like, when I tell you, Fola, Will made the comment that she's kind of like a pair of binoculars just watching everything.
Yeah.
And then like sometimes characters talk to her and it almost feels like it's a video game where like there should be like stuff coming up on screen, but you're not seeing the lower half. So you're like, why are you reacting this way?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like she's just missing half of it. So the battle comes, they're like in this like valley thing.
Yes, they
Mirka,
get ambushed.
Yeah,
and
but Mirka thought ahead, and he sent some like about 80 men on horses up, like kind of away.
Yeah, he's like, Seniel is a wily bastard, you know. I don't fully trust him.
We don't trust this guy.
You're like, main character syndrome, but okay.
And the battle starts, and it's so funny because there's this point where like, so our girl Fola is supposed to go off across the river, set up a healing station with Lonan, and Lonan's supposed to carry a message in case shit goes wrong, and because he's like, I don't get to fight with everyone, and they're like, no, you must carry out your best rider. And so like but then the battle comes to them where they're getting ambushed by the Dubliners out of the trees, and they're like, oh shit, and Lonan's like, come, we must go, but then their horses fall. She ends up cracking her head. She has to secretly heal herself. She looks around. Lonan's not there, and she's like, I gotta get across the river. But then a giant Viking guy comes and attacks her, and that whole time I'm like, who is that?
Which one?
Which one is it? Because I'm like, it's not Citric.
It's clearly one of the names. Yeah, I was like, it's not Citric. Silkbeard, and it's not Malmorda because Malmorda was on his grey horse. So which other one is it?
And this guy is blonde, and I was like, the whole time I was like, is it? It was spelled Gilla, but I can't remember how it was pronounced. It was Gleniarn's son. Yeah, Gilla, Gleniarn's son. And I was like, who it is? And eventually I was like, is this that Harald guy? That like everybody talks about who has the ugly wife.
Yeah, the daughters that he loves.
Who's brother to
this guy is such a good dude. Like he's one of the best. And the entire time we're told he's a really good fighter, but we've never seen him, and he never got described really. So all of a sudden he's out there tanking bitches, and I'm like, who is this? And then I don't realize until afterwards that it was him, and I was like, "Oh, his poor wife and his children."
That was actually really sad.
Yeah. He's the only like good character who I actually liked. Yeah, really,
he was the likable, interesting character on that side. Who was like not, especially after Olaf left. He was the one who like wasn't all that he seemed, because at one point he kind of shows off Gloniarn. He's like, "You snicker at me, Gloniarn. Yeah, Harold is so stupid. He loves his ugly wife," and he's like, "But you know what? Instead of vying and dying for that stupid crown and letting it ruin my life, I'm perfectly happy with my homely wife. I love her. I have a whole group of daughters that I love so much. My life is great."
Great. My home is filled with laughter, bitches. And everybody's like, oh, and like, shit. And
a big tough Viking guy who loves his ugly wife is just such a charming. That's such a great dynamic.
And there's this one point where they're like, we have to offer someone to marry them, and he was like, I have a daughter, and everybody's like, your daughter's fucking ugly, but he loves his daughter, and he was like, you know, and then
they're like, your daughter looks like your wife.
My daughter would marry Seniel because Seniel wanted to marry Gormleth.
A wife. Oh yeah, it was so funny. Also, there's this whole, I forgot to mention, there's this whole thing about oh god. So Citric goes off to do something to go capture
basically
that one
guy. Just very quickly,
to raid a monastery.
He's married a slave woman who clearly doesn't love him, but he thinks loves him. and he loves her. And then there's a real bullshit trial where Gormla just like is a real apologist for men's misogyny, and it's weird. And then she
Because
bitches at his wife.
mm, there's these two things, like these two sides, but even though I'm pretty sure the man's guilty, we need him. He's a good supporter for our
And he's
cause.
rich.
And
So
he's
I'm gonna
rich.
make the woman he abused the night before marry him through like legal shenanigans.
Yeah.
It is, when I tell you, it was an opportunity to humanize her and also show her thoughts about like the shittiness of marriage
Yeah, what if
and
she
being
could come to a clever resolution
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
wasn't just horrible for the woman because she don't give no fucks about women.
This is also a scene that makes you realize that like Gormla is a dumb bitch because she's built no popular support among the people or the other men. Like
everyone hates
if she
her.
was smart, that she would have made herself so really important as like the queen regent and has
she's
social
just
ties.
stupid, mean, and everyone hates her except
she
Cedric.
Yeah.
she really is. And it's such an annoying, and then what follows this scene is that wife we just talked about that Citric married, who was a whore, tries to escape. And I also need to preface, so she has that trial, and then these monks come in, and she's not happy about the monks because, you know, monks equal potential ways for the descendants to spy on them. And the monks come in, and they're like, yes, these are us, here are our names. And she's like, what about that guy standing behind you? You didn't say his name. And she's like, they're
the
like, oh,
blonde
this
guy
is
with the
brother.
green eyes.
Yeah, that's Brother Thomas. He's here to help us, and he actually just he asked to come with us. And she's like, Brother Thomas, green eyes, blonde hair. That's what Mom described as killing my one brother. And she's like, oh shit, is that guy? And then she's like, oh my god. And like they're there, and and she decides to engage with him and talk with him a little bit in really suspicious ways. It's again a moment where you're like, this bitch is so dumb, because she's like, where are you from?
Yeah,
What
she's
monastery?
like not interested in the others at all. And she's like, hey, you.
Let me just hyper focus on the one that I need not to pay attention to me. Anyway, and then they go, they do their stuff, and right after they leave, like these guys have just left, and we know that the Tuatha De Danann descendants can sense Fomorian power. They've just left. We don't know. He could still be around. And she's like, oh shit, does he know who I am? Does he not know who I am? I'll never know. And then the wife, Citric's wife, decides to try escape with this one family on their boat,
on this
and she's
Viking
like,
trader vessel, because she is Viking and she was taken as a slave and sold, and you know that's how she's ended up here.
She's trying to get back to and she, you know, there was a boy who loved her, and she's like trying to get back, and she's rowing in this one dude's stolen boat. And then she's like, oh shit, if they get her, they'll use her to ransom her against my son, and it'll be embarrassing as fuck for Citric, and he's gonna be really hurt. So in this moment, despite many others that would have been so much more useful for her to use her powers, and again, there was just a Tuatha De Danann descendant, like it just happened, she's like, no, and she summons fire lightning to strike the Viking trading ship. And then the wife, instead of like rowing back, is like, I guess I'ma just die, yeets herself into the ocean. And she's like, oh wow, I did this for no end. And so again, the one time she actually uses her power in a situation, it is for naught. And
also in a very dangerous situation. It was so stupid.
It's so aggravating and dumb and frustrating, and you're just like, you're the dumbest girl in school, Gormla. I hate you. I hope you have to marry a wrinkly old man. And frankly, he wasn't wrinkly enough.
Conspiracy theory. That in the next book, it's going to turn out that Thomas did hear about this and he is suspicious. But we don't get that in this book. So it just seems that she does this heckin' stupid thing for no reason at all, just because she's dumb bitch. And
and there's no real reason. And it just feels like
no
a weird non sequitur. It isn't as big a deal when her son does kind of discover that she lied about this, and like that feels like it should be a bigger moment.
Oh, it was so depressing too when he finds out his wife is gone, and he's like, "Oh well."
I mean, I think he was just. I think he was sad. I think he just didn't know she died.
There was a lot of
stuff.
he
immediately turns around and picks another whore to bed with.
Men grief. Anyway, it's a joke.
But yeah, so they there's the big fight the Dubliners attack them. What's his face? The guy we talked about dies. Fola can't get across. She's kind of just trapped in this whole thing. Mirka eventually finds her and kind of like gets her out of the way. And then Mirka he's the one that kills the I think his name was Harold. I don't remember. But kills that guy. And he's got 2 swords. He's out here fighting with 2 long swords. Insane. And he's just like cutting down men. And then the battle kind of ends like,
well, no. So what happens is Llewellyn had come back to save her from had come back to save her when she was on the river, and Harold's coming at her, and he got cut down, and she was like, "Oh no, it nicked his kidney. He's gonna die." And there's like a death scene where he's like, "It's okay."
And she's like, "I could save him, but
tell my mother I said hello."
The loss of my people.
Yeah, and so it's like a real like, "Oh, can I?"
And the Raven's there staring at her like, "You gonna save
do
this guy, bitch?"
Yeah, and so you're like, okay, I guess that was gonna happen to this character the whole time, but he was mildly likable, so. And then basically, the Brian's army goes and they sack Dublin. Because what happens is that Citrix runs back to his mom and is like, "We lost."
Before that, Malmorda breaks and flees.
Yeah,
and
is such a little bitch.
He's
brides off after him. Yeah.
He's pathetic.
Yeah. And then so the Brian and his army get to Dublin and they take over and Gormla
basically wins. Senniel shows up and is just like,
oops, nobody around. And so Gormla's like kind of pissed that they're lost, but she's like to her son, like, "Get out of here. I'll handle this. We'll make a deal with them." But if
that is like one of the few savvy things she does. She realizes that, oh shit, we fucked up bad, and now these kings are gonna either eat us or we're gonna have to carve something from this. So she's like, "Boy, leave the town. If they see you, they're gonna kill you right away. Let me do the talking. I'm gonna try to make them see that they have more to gain by keeping us than by just punishing us and then getting smooshed against Senniel, because Senniel is now the strongest after he was not involved in this fight at all."
Yeah, and so they come in, they burn the market. Mad Marta is just like being dragged along real pathetically, and she's like, "You're pathetic."
He was hiding in a tree.
Like, there's been hints that he's been pathetic the whole time, but it's also just kind of like, I don't know. The theme of like she needs to work with him to take down the descendants versus helping with her son don't really they're not really there.
See, this is one of those things that felt a little like, what, in the book, because their mother, the Fomorian mother, was like, "You gotta help Malmorda become High King. He's the chosen one, sort of, and you're his sister, so you gotta fuck your way to help him," kind of. And then at this point, Malmorda does something, and we've learned that he's been trained in swords. He's a capable fighter. He wasn't maybe always that interested, but he should be able to do something. And then we find out he hides in a tree, and it just feels really odd in the book.
Yeah, and you're like,
this happens because it's historical.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it just kind of happens that way. And then what happens is basically Brian Burry is like, "Okay, I guess we won't kill you all, but one of you needs to marry us." Yeah. So you, Gorflam.
He was like, my daughter will marry Citric, and then you'll marry.
Yeah, and by this marriage alliance, we're gonna cement our union, which will allow Citric to remain king of Dublin safely, because we are now family. And at the same time, they were like, "Oh, but you need to marry someone, Gormla. My son Murkard." And she's like, "I would rather die." And they're like, "That can be arranged."
Yeah. Brian's like, "Bitch, don't threaten me with a good time." But
you're more trouble than you're worth.
In the background, oh no, Malmorda, when he was taken out of the tree, nicked Murkard on the thigh, and everyone, he's like, "I got you," and everyone's like, "It's like it's a barely a scratch, buddy, you pathetic piece of shit.
It's a flesh wound.
It's Flesh wound. But then Melmotter's like, he, I poisoned the dagger. He shall be dead by the evening. And she's like, oh, perfect. Then no one to have to marry. But also because when there's this, she finds out that he poisoned Murkad before they offer the marriage, and then he's like, oh
Mm-hmm.
shit, that marriage would
Yeah.
have benefited me. That actually would have really
Mm-hmm.
worked for me. Too bad he'll be dead. So then Fola is summoned to help Murkha, but she has to like cross. I haven't mentioned this, but the spell on her to make her ugly, if she crosses the ocean, like
Yeah, it only works in mainland Ireland.
yeah,
Because
and
that's
she
the
has
limit of their magical power.
and she has to go to this little island because he went to this church to like go pray, and so she has to cover herself up literally and be like, hi, I'm here to help. And he's dying, and it's his brother, because she's like, oh wow, he got poisoned, it's on its way to his heart. She's like, I can't do anything about this, guys. And his brother and his friend who were there were like, fuck, let's go get dad so he can say goodbye, and we'll get a priest. And then Mirka wakes up and he's like, Fola, is that you? And she's like, yeah, buddy, you're dying. And they've gone to get your father and the priest. And she's like, yeah, priests come faster than crows for dying princes. And then she's like, I can't let this happen. He's a good guy. And so basically she saves him. Like you're like, is she gonna let him die? No. She saves him. She like pretends, she was like, I'm burning out the poison from your wound.
She said loudly to the empty room.
Yeah. In case there was a crow somewhere listening.
And so she saves him. Everybody comes and they're like, oh my god, he's alive. And so then they like everyone goes back, and basically Melmorda and Citric throw Gormla over, and they're like, because Brian Baru is like, you know what, Gormla's not marrying my son, she's marrying me, bitch. That's
yeah. And also Melmorda, you can't keep Leinster because Duncan has a son or a brother who is, arguably next in line. And they're like, but what if me and Samuel gives you our sister to do what you want with? And they're like,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
But Murkad has sworn never to marry again because he loved his wife and she is now dead. So Brian's like, I'll take this one for you. So.
I'll take it. And
she's a horrible bitch, but I'll do her.
And Gorflame is like, and Gorflame's like, oh no, I've been betrayed by my son who finally married me off. And there's
Olaf was right all along.
Yeah, and there's one point where she talks to her son, and her son's like, I had no options, bitch. Like, I this is the only thing that'll work. And she's
my
like,
back was against
in her wedding bed, she's like, Olaf was right all along.
And then she's also like, she's like,
and then she kind of fantasizes that he's the one instead of Brian Boru.
It's
and
I would look at this if I was her. I'd be like, let's make hay while the sun shines, babe. Like, I've got this. I'm hot as fuck. I will just take your like. It makes me so
it's
not like,
so funny.
Take what you're given and use it for something.
Make
other than being a spiteful victim all the time. And it's so nasty too, because in her last parting with her son, she's like, you betrayed me. And he's like, Mother, I really had no choice. You see that, don't you? And she's like, yeah, sure. And then she touches his arm ring and he's like, yeah. I gave that to you. And he's like, I'm so proud that my father on his deathbed wanted me to have this. And she's like, actually, he didn't. He didn't mention you at all.
I lied. And then she fucks off and I'm like, ma'am, we're going for political power. Why are you pissing? I don't understand you,
and the first time your son did a smart political thing and did the thing you raised him to and wasn't just blindly loyal to whatever you wanted those 15 minutes, you're like, you're dead to me. You're dead to me. I wasted my life tending to you.
15 minutes.
And the thing is, this would be such an awesome moment for her to be angry, and then you're right, go, oh, but he did the move I would have made, in to preserve myself and mine. And, and I'm proud of him. He learned from me. Like, this whole time I was just focusing, and actually he can take care of himself. I did it. I did the thing, and then be like, Go in peace.
Or
You know,
even
'cause,
like now I need to be even like if this is supposed to be a tragedy, then this is when she realizes it but doubles down.
Yeah.
But she
Yeah.
doesn't realize it. She's just like
Yeah. The book is doing this thing that is a little bit icky, where it's portraying having to marry someone you don't love as the most disgusting thing that could ever happen to a woman. And I understand that the author probably wants to talk a little about how unfair life could be for women and how limited their options to have influence and freedom were. But at the same time, Gormla is like the voice for this this attitude in the book. So she just becomes too obstinate for her own good, and it wanders into that passive space where she is just a passive, disgusted victim of everything that happens, and she never actually sees anything for herself.
yeah. It's part of the half-baked like feminist themes of this book where like the woman like the author knows, okay, I want to talk about women in the society, but she doesn't actually know what she wants to say, really. It's a very, again, because, and that's basically the end of the book, by the way. They get,
Yeah.
she thinks about Olaf and then they're gone. And then there's some dumb
and then there's an
epilogue
with Ronan.
Yeah, where she's like,
Ronats.
the wind is talking to
Ronats.
me.
Who is thinking about how she talks to the earth and the wind.
And so basically,
And
again,
then she meets with Coleman, and they have a talk about how she's like, Forla will hold the future for our race and fate in our hands, and you know.
And
it's
you'll
gonna be
either
really
be the
important. It's
person
really
to.
vague.
Yeah, she's like,
And
you'll
you're
either be
like-
the person that hurts her, or you'll be the person that saves her. And he's like, I swear I'd never hurt her. And she,
Mhm.
because he's like, I'd never hurt her, and she's like, swear it. And then he's like, I swear.
Mhm.
And you're
And then
like,
she's like,
okay.
I believe you, bro.
And you're like, okay,
You're
Fola's
like,
gonna fumble it.
So probably he swore it now, but he's probably not gonna be able to hold to it against Tomas, and that is gonna be like a turning point for Rona somehow.
I just, this book was more interesting in the second half because that's when a lot of the political and war stuff happens. But like, the first half of this book really was drudgery because Gormla is just a thankless character who it seems like is the author's favorite. The book doesn't really know what it wants to say. Again, the Fowler parts are just so juvenile, essentially.
I didn't get this because what Will is describing is very much his obstinate kind of like the second he feels that this is the author's favorite character, he's like, I hate them. Get them away from me.
Yes, but
and
also
for me, that didn't quite happen in the same way. I could kind of tell that the author is sort of aware that
I still don't even know if she knows it that much.
Gormla isn't a likable character.
Either way,
she has very few redeeming features.
Gormla's just dreadful to be around as a viewpoint character, and you're stuck with her. And so, like, the first half of this book is just her being like, "Hey, I'm so smart, and everybody else is dumb." And so
and
it's
Fola just getting shunted from point to point, doing what she was told without ever really,
and not having that I want moment until the third act is a little like.
And the end of the book for her is Mirka being like, "Hey, buddy, are we going home?" And she's like, "Oh, I have to stop at Lonan's farm first. He told me to give a message to his wife.
You could just give it to his cousins, and you can come with me back to see Brocken. Come with me to see Brocken."
Yeah, and she's like, "No, I swore, and I must uphold my thing, but I'll be back." And he's like, "I want you to know, once you come back, Kilalu is your home. You can stay there forever." Home. And she's like, he's just saying that because he thinks I'm a good person. She's like, remember earlier when you asked me why I wasn't
come back and never leave.
and she's like, remember 2 seconds ago when you asked me if I was okay and I said I was fine? I lied. I wasn't okay because I remembered the face of my daughter. Remember when your priest called me a whore because he thought Brocken was my son and I had a kid out of wedlock? Well, while Brocken is my nephew, I did have a kid out of wedlock as far as your Christian standards
go. And she thought this will be the time where he shows his true face, because after all this, after you break breaking the laws of your own people to save his life, you still think that, deep underneath, he's probably really disgusting, guys.
Yeah. And he's gonna throw her aside and be like, never mind, never set foot in Callaloo, you absolute
You are a fallen woman?
Oh, get out of here.
It's so frustrating, again. And it's weird because the author is clearly talented in a lot of ways, but not a lot of them are on display here.
Yeah, and then it ends for her being like, and why I was actually so upset is because he offered me the thing I wanted, a home where I could just exist with no rules or expectations and the things of other people, but I can't because of Tomas and all of that shit. And oh man,
Yeah, and then
you're
and at the same time, the final scene is him like placing his rich, really nice cloak and clasping it around her shoulders and looking down on her like.
And then
really
there were
attached to
words.
her.
There were words in his eyes.
Yeah, that he never said.
And then later he has to go back and the words in his eyes faded and she was like, wow, wonder what that was about.
Yeah, she is so frustrating at times. I think the romance, the slow burn, is really cute, but she is so frustrating sometimes.
She is, and
just an ounce of awareness. Again, you're 105. This guy is what, 30? You have like 75 years on him, my guy.
Yeah, and it's very much the lack of that I want from her. She just kind of flops around. She's like, what were those words in his eyes? Like, there seems to be no motivation for her to even wonder about that, and that's why it's a bit frustrating.
Yep. So, yeah, this book is just, I would not suggest reading it. I mean, if you really like Irish history, that part of it, I guess, is kind of cool to see these characters. If you're like a Crusader Kings player,
I would
can't
say
defeat Samuel.
I would say that it's not like the worst book we've read. It's very mid. And Chris M made the point in their final thoughts that it really is just kind of like a middle of the road book. There's parts of it that are good, there are parts that are very frustrating, and I also found it like not like once I got into it and once you get over like the first half where there's those really big time skips, you're able to like, it wasn't a chore in that second half to get through it, and once I got into the book, it wasn't a chore to have to read. I've obviously complained a lot about it, but it is just like real middle of the road. Now the thing is, we read a lot of books in this channel, and we are currently also reading a very, 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 very bad book that has been every page. I read like 25% of it, and like I was just highlighting stuff that just was so terrible. And there was only one point in this book that I highlighted something because I thought it was, and I wanted to talk about it, but now I don't remember what it was.
Perfect timing now.
Yeah,
here at the end.
At the end of it,
I'm just kidding. Yeah, no. Again, just to continue on that, it's very mid. It's mid, and I wish. No, and I just wish the author had focused on the historical part. That I think she could have written a much sharper novel around. And I think there is a lot of feminist themes to tell, but this book doesn't really do them. And so it's not as bad as a lot of the books we read, but that's just by virtue of the company it keeps. If this won an award, please don't tell me, because then I'll become way more mad about it.
Indeed.
While Maria is searching, I'll say that I'm more on the page with Maria. I can see that this book has some good bits, some bad bits, some bits that were like the seeds of something that could have been good, and then just weren't much of anything. But that said, I had a really good time reading this book. And I think I'm actually going to read the sequel. I don't demand a book to be extraordinary to be worth reading. In the way that William does. He's like, if this is anything short of excellent, it's not worth my time.
I have so many things
at
to
all
do.
like that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of ideas and thoughts and political movements, and like there's seeds of really interesting things here, and I'm willing to give it the time just to have the experience of like mulling through these things in my mind, and I'll forgive the book for not being perfect. I thought it was a pretty good debut, actually.
Yeah. And
I don't forgive, I don't forget.
I didn't realize it was a debut novel, because that's actually I'm a little bit more forgiving with. And honestly, I'm in kind of the same boat where I finished it and I thought, I think I will. Like, if I have time in the next, I don't know, 6 months, I would probably read. Like, I'm interested to see what happens. Also, I'd like to see how the romance develops between them, because I like a slow burn, and I'd like to see if Fola becomes more of a character and has like agency in the story.
And this period of history is also really interesting.
Yeah, I found.
I do agree that I think the second book will be more interesting than the first.
I found it.
Hit me.
Get ready for this. Lucretia nodded. He has a lot on his mind. His father absolutely relies on him, and Murkad never recovered the death of his wife. Not really. A mortal man mourned the passing of his wife? I knew it could be true.
Oh, yeah.
I'd seen the pain in Lonan's eyes when he thought his wife wasn't going to survive childbirth. But Thomas had told me about the sons of Brian Baru. They broke sanctuary. They didn't just kill their enemies. They killed their children, too. When I spoke to Murkad, he appeared kind and generous even. But he also carried 2 swords and spoke of war with zeal.
Yeah.
Like, just
it's
fucking...
It's giving 10-year-old in this. It's giving, my brain is not developed enough to understand the complexity of human beings. Even though she has known human beings in her 100-year-old life.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
So insane. Incredibly frustrating. Very
so frustrating.
Dumb. And kind of like when parts of the book hold such high quality, things like this just stand out all the more because it does not feel like a work that belongs together. It's like, it's a little like Frankenstein's monster, where she has kind of cobbled bits together.
You're completely correct.
And the feat is kind of extraordinary, and that it's the hint of something interesting in like, but
it's
like, because you're right, it feels like a historical novel, and then it has these like this YA moralistic simplicity to it that is just so painful, and you're like, why did we put these two together?
Yeah, and I'm fully willing to extend it to another book and see if the story begins to pull together even more, because I did feel like it started to do that at the end of the book. Like the bag was beginning to close at the end. And but if these things where Fola acts like a 10-year-old and Gormleth acts like a 700-year-old who's just over everything, if we don't see any actual progress in these characters, then I am going to lose interest.
Yeah. This is a story that I think just needs to start much closer to the middle. Like, I just we don't need Fola's entire character arc to be where it's at. Gormla feels like we can skip some of that too. So anyway, thank you all for joining us. Again, this was a Patreon live stream. Join our Patreon, support independent journalism. You get access to live streams like this, and you can comment like Chris and Bananabus and St. Jen. Park, I think, was also here. You also get our critique streams where me and Katie go over the prose of a book. Or you can just get access to our Discord.
And also, did you read this book? Did you like it? Comment down below. Give us your thoughts. We actually read comments to this channel rather regularly. I stalk the comments, especially.
I read all the comments, I just never respond. Yeah. So
Will reads all the comments obsessively too. So, and please give this video a like. It really helps.
Yes. All right. Thank you all for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.